Hello gamers, it's me, Jake. Sorry for looking a little crusty, that's what allergies do to you. Anyhow, let's talk about something that I've learned from being on the internet for about, how many years now? At least 10, maybe a few more. So today I'd like to share with you one of the most important things I've learned, and that is the weird form of buyer's remorse that takes place on the internet. Now, what am I talking about? Well, have you ever seen when somebody wastes their money on a piece of shit and they can't accept that they wasted money on the piece of shit? So they're like, let's tell everybody it's good, but you have to do this and that and this and that to get it to work, and this and that and this and that. And at that point, it sounds like they're deluding themselves. They're deluding themselves to think it's good, when in reality, it's not that good, but they deep down, they want to like it. They want to believe it's good. So they tell themselves it's good. And it's more common when you spend $60 on a video game, or thousands of dollars on a car, or hundreds of dollars on a computer or cell phone. I see this all the time. Somebody will do something they deep down regret, but instead of being open and honest that they fucked up, and at least it's a monetary product that they fucked up with their money on, instead of fucking their body up or something worse like that, but they will go around and they will tell people how great this thing is, but with a big fat asterisk. And you'll see that deep down inside they don't enjoy it, they don't like it, especially when they start complaining about it, but they do it anyway, because they wasted all this money on it, and they can't accept defeat. They can't accept the fact that they wasted money on something that was a piece of shit. The thing is eventually, you end up falling for their lies, you end up falling for their myths, their rumors, and you end up realizing you made a bad choice too, because of faulty advice. And you hear yourself saying, God damn, these people told me this was the shit. This was a great product, and it's a piece of shit. It doesn't fucking work. It breaks down all the time. It crashes. It's a boring video game. It's not fun to play at all. It's fucking gay. Why do I keep fucking dying and shit? Yeah. So you end up saying that to yourself. And when you say it to these people, they'll just fight back with, you're doing it wrong, or, oh, you just don't get it, it's great. And I see this all the time in gaming. I see this all the time in tech. I see this all the time with cars. I see this all the time with living in places. I see this all the time with so many things. People say something is so great, but it's not. It's not great at all. So, how do you avoid this kind of thing? How do you avoid and see through when people are expressing this weird type of buyer's remorse? How do you tell yourself what the truth is in a situation where that's what people are going to do? They're going to tell you shit that's not true, or that they believe because they're so deep in it, when in reality it's just not like it's all cracked up to be. Well, here's a lot of things I've learned. The first thing is reading between the lines. Now, you got to learn to read between the lines a lot. You got to, listen to the part where they say, oh, but you have to do so-and-so. You don't just listen to them lavishing praise. You go to the part where they're like, oh, but you have to do so-and-so. You have to get all this checked out. And then you have to ask yourself then, is it worth it? You have to, do the math and ask yourself, do I really want to put myself through this? But that's not the only thing. Another thing I've learned to do is look on forums for something. So if you want to buy a car, here's what you got to do. For example, you don't just look on what people on sites like Edmunds say. You don't just look at that. You also have to go onto websites about where people post complaints about the car. For example, if you want to buy a Ford Taurus, you look on there and you're like, oh, the transmissions grenade themselves. Gee, maybe I shouldn't spend my money on this piece of shit. Or Another thing to do is you go on car forums or for specific models, and then the general ones, and sometimes Reddits for said product. And you look what people are saying about it there, what the people who buy these say to each other, like what the common problems are. And then you have to expect that you're going to run into said problems. You have to like ask yourself, well, what happens if this happens? How much is it going to cost? How common is it? Will this drain my wallet? Blah, blah, blah. For example, you're looking at one car and you find out that, oh, the fuel injection system of it blows up and the fuel pump will actually shoot metal throughout the whole system, and that's a nasty ass cleanup. It's that kind of thing where you have to like look online and you have to see what people are saying about it, because what could be a forum post is eventually going to come back and bite you in the ass hard if it actually happens to you. And especially if it's something like a car, you gotta know what shit's gonna fuck you over. You have to know that. Phones, too, depending on the phone, they might have problems like the boot loops. The good old boot loops that happened on like the Nexus 5X and 6P. You gotta like deal with issues like the good old, what's another thing on tech? Oh, I had this Asus piece of shit that was just problematic. In fact, I'll actually tell you a story about that. What I learned from that too in a second, but that thing had like tons of issues. The video card never quite worked right. It didn't quite work right if you went from 8.0 to 8.1. But yeah, and let's talk about the Asus. Oh god, this is going to be a fun story. So I spent my savings money on an Asus laptop back when I still had hopes and dreams that college would actually get you more places than just a gender studies like tier Tumblrino who just sits and bitches on social media all day and begs for money. Back when I had hope that college was actually going to get me places, I bought an Asus laptop with savings money. It was an Asus with an NVIDIA GTX 760M, I think. It was a fast laptop, or was supposed to be a fast laptop. But get this. It was a piece of shit. You know why I say that? Because it was a piece of shit. But for real, though. That laptop was problems. And I thought, maybe if I fuck with it a little more, maybe they'll go away. And they didn't. And I was kicking myself because I didn't take advantage of the return policy of the store. If I came to my senses that day and returned the laptop, I would have dodged that completely. And that's the thing. Recently I had that with another phone. The camera quit working right. You know what I did? I returned it. And it was a Verizon V20. I returned that. And I got a Google Pixel. Not a big fan of having to... I'm not a big fan of the image of owning a Google Pixel because it looks like an iPhone and it tends to be owned by the same people who buy other gimmicky shit like Surfaces and like Apple products, but at least it's hackable with Lineage OS, so that's a major plus, and it works with Verizon, so I get a good network. And I'm actually liking most of this phone. It has a few rough around the edges issues, like file transfer to a PC is kind of dodgy, but Google's kind of fucked with file transfer in Android anyhow, because they're fucking Google and they fuck everything up because that's what they're good at doing. It's true though. Anyhow, so the thing is, take advantage of return policies if you have to. Don't just sit around kicking yourself because you bought a piece of shit. Take advantage of return policies and warranties as much as possible. But now the last thing I'd like to talk about too. And the third thing is, listen to what people say online about advice in general, not just with products, and then put it through your head. Ask yourself with critical thinking, is this really good advice or is this some old wives' tale? And then double check it too to make sure that you actually know what you're doing, because the last thing you want to do is fuck up your only product because you listened to an old wives' tale or you didn't quite trust your instinct, right? You kind of ignored what people said to you about what to do. and then it fucked up. And then at this point, the only person you can blame is yourself once everything went to shit because something happened, because people warned you. I see this way too many times. I mean, there's a lot of shit I've learned. And one of the best ways I've learned it is through common fucking sense. You gotta learn common sense. You gotta learn. Should I trust putting this in a trunk where it could leak and roll around, or should I put it in your back seat? You gotta ask yourself questions like that. And you have to do that, or else shit's gonna bite you in the ass somewhere. And that's just shit I've learned from years and years. But with that said, the most important thing to do when you're going to make any big decision is look what people online are saying. And don't just look at the positive reviews. Look at the critical reviews. You got to do that. Because knowing my luck, I'm always going to end up with shit not working. Maybe one day after I get it. Maybe a year after I get it. But it's always going to bite me in the ass. And I'll say, I wish I learned. Oh, and one more thing. Store units. That's a great way of seeing if something's a piece of shit. Because if the store units are breaking, that's not a good sign of its overall quality. Because those things are running 24/7, and so issues are going to prop up on there first before they do on your shit. But they'll pop up on your shit too if you use it enough. So, yeah. Use common sense, take people's advice, learn what's good and what's not on the internet. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.